This is the new $499 Google Pixel 9a. This is the $599 iPhone 16e, and this is one of the most fascinating head-to-head battles of this generation. Because it's not just Android versus iPhone. This is Google's 2025 vision for what the software and hardware of Android should be versus Apple's 2025 vision at their mid-range price points. So, which of these two companies actually gives you more? I'm going to rate the phones based on how good I think they are in each category out of 10, and then at the end we're going to factor in the price and choose one as the definitive winner. So as far as what you get with the phones, both Google and Apple these days offer you the ultimate in environment conservation. Basically nothing. With the Pixel, you get no case, no screen protector, no charger, just the cable, the phone, and vibes. Except not really any vibes. And then over in Apple's corner, it's exactly the same story. Cable at the bottom, and the phone. So, a very mediocre start, but also a very similar start. I'd give both of these phones 4 points for box contents. And the similarities, they only ramp up. I mean, the thing that actually convinced me to make this video comparing these two phones is look at the designs, from the frosted backs to the logo placements to the flash being just to the right of the camera, even the texture and the curve of the aluminium on the side rails. It very much feels like we're looking at Google and Apple's take on the exact same phone concept. Two devices that feel designed to go head to head. And while I have to say, I do like the fact that Apple's has a glass back as opposed to Google's plastic. I guess Apple decided after the iPhone 5C back in the day totally bombed that materials were one thing that they couldn't flex on, but then in other ways, very much flex on. It's just that the way that Google has finished their plastic, it doesn't really feel any different. This doesn't feel like a cheaper phone than this. They both feel like fancy phones. They both have IP68 ratings now. I'm quite impressed. Also, this is like the tiniest camera bump that I've seen in the last 5 years, apart from Red Magic, who's managed to go completely flush. Now, I do have a pretty major problem with this, but aesthetically speaking, I like it. So for design, I'm going to go 8 points to Pixel, 8 to the iPhone. Completely neck and neck so far. So, what about the displays? Well, the second that you turn these two phones on, one thing becomes quite clear. That if we're considering the full spectrum of phone displays out there, neither of these guys is winning any awards. I mean, the Pixel is surrounded by a border that's at least 20% thicker than you'd want it to be at this price. And the iPhone has a notch. I thought we were done with notches. I was so happy to be done with notches. I guess this is Apple's way of making something mid-range, giving you tech that's one step back from the current seamless dynamic island, while sitting clearly one step forward from the straight-up black bars that you'd get across the cheaper iPhone SEs. Either way, not a huge fan, and I'd actually side towards the Pixel just generally with display. The 9a is a lot brighter than last year's 8a, and so definitively outclasses the iPhone if you go outdoors. You know, if you're into that. Plus, Google's managed to get a 120Hz refresh rate onto here. Actually, let me rephrase.